contain ourselves. Well, I'm Keanne Armstrong. I'm from WEIU, and I'm joined with
Jana Johnson. It's so great to be here tonight with all of these storytellers and people from Charleston.
This is Charleston. This is our story tonight. We're sharing Charleston with the world. You can watch online, weiu.net, or you can watch on our channels. So we're hoping you will support WEIU tonight, support Charleston, the community, the university. We've got 42 stories to share with you this evening.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, and you know what? It's all local, but there's some crazy things that are going to happen tonight. We're hoping that you're going to be calling tonight. The number's at the bottom of your screen right now. The phones are ringing right now, so keep them ringing. Stories are here to come. We'll be with you all night, so be sure to give us a call whether the number is up or whether it's not. Stay tuned. Charleston, this is our story.
Charleston, This Is Our Story is supported in part by Carl. We dedicate ourselves to helping you be great, and we have the expertise and inspiration to help you stay that way. Charleston Tourism, supporting Charleston, This Is Our Story. More information about attractions and events is available at charlestontourism.org. Consolidated Communications, CCI is honored to bring you this program as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and we're proud to support the communities we serve. More information about CCI available at consolidated.com. Charleston, This Is Our Story is supported by Kogel Senior Apartments, independent living for those 62 and older, and Highland Place Apartments located on Charleston's southwest side. Yost Management hopes you enjoy Charleston, This Is Our Story. First Mid Illinois Bank and Trust. At First Mid, we strive to fulfill the financial needs of our communities with personal service, professionalism, and integrity. Headquartered in Coles County, Illinois, we have our local team dedicated to the needs of our customers. First Mid is proud to support Charleston, This Is Our Story. Heritage Woods of Charleston, an assisted lifestyle community for the older adult. Activities, clean facilities, long-term care, Medicaid, 2 different apartment layouts. Information available at 345-4900. Inyart Tire and Auto Center, with locations in Mattoon and Charleston, is proud to bring you Charleston, This Is Our Story. Inyart offers complete auto repair. More information available online at inyart.com. Sarah Bush Lincoln Health System, providing care for all and creating healthy communities, offering general and specialty medicines and a complement of diagnostic and rehabilitative services. Sarah Bush Lincoln, trusted, compassionate care.
I thought when I first went to the square that it was like a wonderland. All these stores and the courthouse was, it was just really quite wonderful. And I thought it was a great town. It's the first house in Charleston. Norfolks were very early settlers. This had been close to where the Charleston Library is now. The Opera House, I just knew from reading, talking to older people and reading that everybody had been very proud of this Opera House, because I don't know if they had actually operas there, but they had shows there. People would come to town and they would do shows there. The Miles, Dr. Miles was his name, who owned it, and he, I think he had come from Virginia too to Charleston, and he had built this, and it was really probably the best looking house in Charleston at the time. And it was on the hill, and then it slanted down. The hill slanted down to the town branch. And the Miles family I find them in the early newspapers quite a lot. The small building was the first courthouse in Charleston, and then they started slowly building wings. That was the courthouse after the wings. And I just think it's a fantastic looking courthouse. That was a great day when that came to town, because people could go to Mattoon on the interurban, and people from Mattoon could come to Charleston. It was a way of, I mean, a lot of people didn't have cars. Some people did, but this was the way to go. So everybody took the interurban to Mattoon. Didn't go any further than Mattoon, but at least we could go back and forth. That was our claim to fame. That was a very interesting place, and a lot of people that could come to Charleston had places to stay, and people in Charleston were very proud of that. We had people like Billy Sunday would come to town to do his preaching. It was on Monroe Street and 6th, I guess, 6th and Monroe Street. I think it was really a loss to the town to have that be demolished, because it was, there were a lot of offices in there, a lot of lawyers had offices in there. The city hall was there. When I was younger, I said, oh, I had an aunt in Chicago. Oh, if I could just live in Chicago. But after I got older and started doing research, I felt like that was the best place to live. And I still think that.
I started in 4-H when I was 8 or 9 years old, started showing a little Shetland pony, did some woodworking projects, and just did all that usual stuff, and worked my way up. And then when I got into horse racing, I'm at the fairgrounds every day, twice a day. You got to feed and water them twice a day and take care of them. So, you know, I was there and I saw the hard work and commitment that these other people were putting in to have this fair. The first fair that was recorded was in 1841, and our fair has been a continuous part of the community since 1854. In 1855, the Coles County Agricultural Society bought 7 acres of land, and that's part of the current fairgrounds now. It's also the site of the 4th Lincoln and Douglas debate, which was held in 1858 with an estimated crowd of 10,000 to 12,000 people. The first fairs were started to promote and improve our domestic livestock, and this was actually an act of the Illinois legislature that got the county fair started. We still have livestock shows and art hall exhibits. 4-H is a big part of the Coles County Fair. We also have carnivals and fair food. How could you have a fair without fair food? You know, Pronto pups and elephant ears. We have the tractor pulls, demo derbies, bull riding, a queen pageant, and of course the horse races. Our harness racing has been and still is a big part of the Coles County Fair. An issue of the 1948 Horseman and Fair World said, not only is the Coles County Fair one of the oldest fairs, it's one of the best fairs to race at, and it still is today. We draw horses, drivers, and trainers from Chicago, Iowa, Mississippi, Indiana, Kentucky, and our local people really look forward to the races. It's not uncommon for somebody to stop me at the gas station or the grocery store a week or a month before the fair saying, hey, what about the races? Are we going to have good races? Will we have a lot of horses coming in? So, you know, people really look forward to it. It's not uncommon to have 800 or 1,000 people in the stands during the races. Believe it or not, I was the director of the Queen pageant for a few years. So even though the horse racing is my passion, it takes a whole big picture to have the fair. There's not one event that makes the fair. The Coles County Fair has been a part of this community since 1854. I think that really says something about the fair and about the community, because they have to work as a partner, you know, for us to continue having fairs. I can't emphasize enough how much we appreciate the community support. I guess getting to see the joy that other people have when they come to the fair. That, I guess that's what does it for me.
You know, you really cannot do a history of Eastern Illinois University or the city of Charleston or the community without doing something on the Livingston Lard Administration Building, also known as the Castle, also known as Old Main. You know, Old Main was the very first building that was ever built on the campus of Eastern Illinois University. And the cornerstone was laid on May 27, 1896. Governor Altgeld came down, who was the governor of Illinois at the time, came down for the ceremony. There were over 15,000 people who were here for the ceremony. Originally, they had $88,000 scheduled to build the building. I think it ended up costing somewhere around $100,000. This was the first building of Bishop's Woods, the 40-acre plot that the state of Illinois purchased. And behind Old Main was a lake. And I'd like to be able to say the name, but I can't pronounce it. So I think it's Lake Alamawina. Why a castle? Governor Altgeld at the time really, I think, thought that every university needed a castle. And so there was one on Illinois State's campus, one on Southern's, one on Northern's. And in fact, the one on Northern's campus was very similar to the original design of the way that the Old Main was supposed to be. And I'd often heard the rumor that it was supposed to be a castle on the Rhine because the Governor Altgeld, believed that the European higher education system, especially the German system, was one of the best in the world. And he wanted to have something to remind everyone about the castle on the Rhine. And consequently, I always say, if you take a look at Old Main, you'll see that one turret is taller than the other. And people ask the question, why is that? And the reason is in the castles in Germany, that is where you would put your best archer. The building housed everything. It housed, and it's 6 stories, by the way, and people don't understand that because only 3 stories are currently occupied. But it housed the gymnasium, which the best that we can figure was on the 6th floor, which is currently closed. It had a classroom, or several classrooms. It had the health service, which was a nurse. It had the library, it had the chapel. Everything was enclosed in that building. And I remember my first visit coming here, coming down Route 16 and looking into the distance and seeing the castle. And even before I made my first step foot on the campus, I saw that and I said, I think I really want to come here because it is a symbol of the university. It's a great building. The tradition of the university, when you walk in there, it's amazing.
First Christian Church is one of the oldest churches in the community, one of the 3 oldest congregations. We began back in 1840. There were a couple of gentlemen by the name of Samuel Pepper and Thomas Goodman, who along with 12 charter members began the church. That's when Charleston had a population of slightly over 300. So 175 years later, here we are. Thomas Goodman, who was the first minister of the church, had the distinction of presiding over Thomas Lincoln's funeral in 1851. Thomas Lincoln, of course, had a famous son, Abraham. And later on, in the church history, we began rather humbly with just a dozen or so people meeting in a house, and then they began to meet in the courthouse. Around the turn of the century, the church had grown rather substantially. There were about 500 members, I think, at that time. So the church was looking for a new location that would serve their needs, and so they settled on the corner of 5th and Jackson. It's a block west of the courthouse. And they constructed that out of sandstone from the Umbarah River. They hauled it out from a place out on East Harrison Street. And a gentleman by the name of Alexander Briggs was commissioned to construct the building. He also was commissioned by Eastern to finish completing Old Main. So Mr. Briggs, you know, he connected our church with Eastern, with the whole community. Our present building was designed by someone who had never designed a church building before. He had only designed theaters. So when you walk in from the door that faces 5th Street, closest to the courthouse, you'll see a little ticket window there. He had never designed a building that didn't have a ticket window before. So naturally, he assumed that we would need one. We're a landmark institution in Charleston. We've been around for 175 years. There's hardly anybody who hasn't been influenced in some way or another by First Christian Church over this lengthy period of time.
My story is about the Charleston Reading Circle. It's a women's book club that was organized in 1889. That was before Charleston had a public library or a university. We don't know a whole lot about the women who organized it beyond their names, but we do know that their husbands were doctors and lawyers and bankers and the businessmen in town. They wanted a mutual education group. Then and now is the object of the group, the mutual improvement of its members. They met on Friday afternoons, every Friday from March until May. And they would not all read the same book, as many book clubs work today, but each member would prepare a report on a given topic and share the information she had learned, and that way everyone could benefit from the reading of each individual. Topics were assigned, chapters were assigned, and a critic was assigned for each meeting. We are told later on that these critics were very helpful and that they gave constructive criticism. I certainly hope that was the case. We no longer have critics. The first president, we know her name only. She was a Mrs. Threlkeld, but she was the wife of the Presbyterian minister. And that year, and for a few years following that, the group met on Friday afternoons at the Presbyterian parsonage. Dues were $1 per year. They still are. Fines there was a 10-cent fine for missing a meeting and a 5-cent fine for being late. We have since dispensed with the fines. In the 1920s, they began meeting in members' homes, and that was the practice for most of the 20th century. The new president in 1908 was Mrs. Livingston Lord. We get the impression that she may have ruled the group with a rather firmly, shall we say. She was president until her death in 1924. The story is told that Mr. Lord once said that if he were to die, he could not be buried on a Friday afternoon because Mrs. Lord would have to go to reading circle. Another distinguished member of our group was Miss Mary Josephine Booth, for whom Booth Library is named. In 1989, the group celebrated its 100th anniversary. Not with fireworks, but they put together a special program. The thing I like best about the Charleston Reading Circle is the wonderful variety of people and reading materials. We are a very diverse group, united solely by our love of reading.
Well, during the Great Depression, the Civilian Conservation Corps planted nearly 3 billion trees
conserved acres of farmland, built over 800 state parks, and really established the modern principles of conservation that we practice today. But locally, the Civilian Conservation Corps was responsible for creating Fox Ridge State Park, Lincoln Log Cabin State Park, and the Moore Home. These places have really served to define the community, to define Charleston, just as the people in the 1930s, the local community in the 1930s had hoped that they would. In Charleston, a CCC camp was established called Camp Charleston, and in 1935, another CCC camp came after Camp Charleston was already established, and they built their barracks on the Lincoln Farm, on the site of the Lincoln Farm. They were called Camp Shiloh. That camp was staffed, the enrollees were World War I vets, which was unique. That's a unique camp. World War I vets were not initially considered as enrollees of the Civilian Conservation Corps. After Roosevelt passed the legislation, they added that group of men later. So our camp was a little unique. The men in Camp Charleston were typical 17, 18, 19-year-old men. After the Camp Shiloh men arrived, they went to work on building Lincoln Log Cabin. They built a replica of the cabin. They built all of the outbuildings and really created a park out of what was once a farmstead. When Lincoln Log Cabin was dedicated in 1936, in the summer of 1936, the men at Camp Shiloh had to leave. The park was open to the public, and most of those World War I vets went home. But a few of them did transfer into Camp Charleston because it's still there, the barracks are there, and many of those vets transferred there along with the National Park Service Superintendent Theodore Kingsbury. He also went with them and continued to oversee then the building of the Moore Home, which is the last site of, or Lincoln's last visit to Coles County. So Lincoln was here in 1861 to say goodbye to his stepmother and his family, his extended kin, and this was the site. So Camp Charleston now is still an active camp. It has some of the vets and a group of very young men, and they go to work then on Fox Ridge. Their mission now is Fox Ridge, which takes about 4 years to complete. They build a state park out of timberland, and this timberland is donated by local landowners. So this is all donated to the state of Illinois. And again, we have the National Park Service and the CCC building the park. So the work of the Civilian Conservation Corps and the collaboration between these federal agencies and the local community and the state of Illinois is an incredible story and has left an incredible legacy for the residents of Charleston, the residents of Coles County, Illinois, the nation and beyond.
I feel like my dad was one of the contributors to the success and progress of Charleston. My father was born in 1896, Ernest W. Inyart, the fifth child of Mary and George Washington Inyart in Olney. He had a shoe repair shop in which his children worked as they grew up. When he was in the 9th grade, his father approached him and requested that he lay out of school for a year in order to help more or less feed the family. And he agreed to that. And of course, becoming very skilled at shoe repairing, he never did get back to school. Went to work in Taylorville for the Summers Clothing and Shoe Company store, and he decided while he was there, he had this dream. He would like to have a shoe store of his own. In 1921, he married my mother in Olney, Pauline, and he got on the train, came to Charleston, and opened a shoe store on what is now Whiskey Row. One of our special customers was a lady from Eastern, a physical education teacher, Miss McAfee. She came into the store and she said, Mr. Inyart, I'm expecting about 50 freshmen or girls this year, at Eastern, and we've decided to have a uniform for physical education. And they all will have black uniforms, and I'd like for them to have a black shoe. So I could see her catalog. She picked out the shoe style she wanted them to have, which was a high top, all black shoe, that is black canvas, black eyelets, black laces, black soles, black rubber. During the 40s and 50s, I guess you might say we had the heyday of the square, because there were activities on 3 levels. During that time, he was also available, you might say, to various discussions and people who would want to contact him. So he would keep on repairing shoes, pounding away, listening to them, giving him a good ear, but getting his work done. Ernie's grandkids, my children, were on the verge of needing jobs. Well, they were perfect, bringing them in, teaching them how to fit and sell shoes. That was probably my biggest blessing from the business, because I was able to get the ear of my kids and develop a relationship with each of them so that we had something in common and they learned something from the family. In 1985, my dad passed away, but he gave us the inspiration and the ideas and the guidance to develop the business even further. Standing alone as we were, without the benefit of additional traffic, we thought this was probably a good time to close, and we had a going out of business sale. It was a big adjustment. My dad, a humble man from Olney, with a little experience, little money, and a little formal education, was able to achieve his dream of having a fitting shoe service with good quality shoes. Since we were here 71 years, I like to think that the impact that we might have had on the city of Charleston was a positive one, and that we made a worthy contribution.
How exciting is it to be here in this studio, and what a great story by Bob Inyart. What a great legacy that his dad started all those years ago. So we do have Bob here with us tonight, and Kean's going to talk to him in a few minutes, but let's get down to business.
Let's get down to business. We have a number at the bottom of your screen right now, and while our phones are silent, we want to hear them ringing. We have 8 operators standing by, and they are storytellers tonight. So when you call in, you are supporting their stories, you're supporting Charleston, and you're supporting WEIU.
Well, our goal for this break is to get 25 people to call. So if you're sitting out there right now and you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, and you think programs like this are important for our community and for your town, we need you to support right now and give us a call. You can join at the $75 level, and we'd be happy to send you a DVD of the program. If you want to join at the $120 level, we'll give you a DVD and a book, and I'll grab the book here in a few minutes, or you can get 2 DVDs to pass on to somebody else.
Some great thank you gifts for your support tonight, and we're hoping you'll give us a call. One of the phones is busy right now, and we will give you a shout out tonight for your support. We cover 22 counties in Illinois and partly into Indiana, so we know there are a lot of people watching tonight. Our storytellers, our underwriters, and all the people who have been involved in this program have really promoted this, and we're sharing Charleston with the world tonight. So give us a call and tell us what you think of the program and give us your gift of support.
I have a couple people to thank right off the bat. Gay Harrison from Charleston, Jeff and Karen from Charleston, Jim Payton from Champaign, and Ginger Stanfield from Charleston. A couple of those are our storytellers, so we thank them so much. Let's get the phones going. It gets exciting in here when all 8 phones are going. So how many we have right now? A couple?
We have just one. We have
Okay.
7 phones.
There's
Oh, we
another
have
one.
6
Here's
phones
another-
open.
Let's get the next one going, and you're going to have a conversation.
I am going to talk to one of our storytellers. I'm going to walk right on over here to Mr. Inyart. We just heard his story, and Mr. Inyart, I want to ask you can talk right here. Why was it important to you to tell this story?
Well, I'm fortunate to have lived many years, and I knew a lot of wonderful people who helped build Charleston, and I felt like our story was representative of hundreds of stories of other people who did this, came to Charleston, raised families, and lived here, and I just thought it was time.
It was time. Well,
It's
it's a
great.
pleasure working with you. Your story has meant a lot to a lot of people, and we thank you for being here tonight.
The UWEIC has done a wonderful job, I think.
Thank you very much. Jana, back to you.
Thank you, Bob. What a great story. I had the privilege of interviewing him for his story, and I learned so much. I grew up down the street from him. I went and bought all my shoes at Inyart shoe store back in the day, so this story really hit close to home to me. If it's hit close to home to you as well, we need you to get on the phone right now, call the number on the bottom of your screen, and support the program that we're airing tonight. You could join at the $75 level, and we'd love to send you a DVD of the program. Over 2 hours of storytellers' stories that you can enjoy. If you'd like to join at the $120 level, we would be happy to send you 2 DVD sets, or we can send you a DVD and a book around the square. Great items. And Kian's looking over here right now. Let's see what's going on with you.
Well, I have a few more people I want to talk to tonight, but you know something I forgot to say when I was talking to Mr. Inyart is my mom bought my first pair of shoes from Inyart Shoe Store, and I forgot to tell that. So, hey, that was a special tribute, and I wanted to share that. So I have a couple of other people here. I have Jenny Peterson and her son Josh, and they're in a story coming up later in the show. And Jenny, I wanted to ask you, how did this story come about that Josh wanted to share?
Well, Joshua and his brothers were watching WEIU PBS Kids, and he came running in, Mom, I have to tell a story on WEIU. I've got to tell a story. And I said, well, what will it be about? And so he came up with the story.
So Josh, I'm going to ask you, tell me what the story was and why you wanted to tell this.
Long ago, people on the earth in Charleston used handheld drills.
What do you have there in your hand?
And this is a handheld drill, and you use it like this.
And where did you get those drills from?
My grandpa's basement.
Your grandpa's basement. And you have another drill here with you too, right?
This one's called a chest drill.
And how do you use that one?
Like this.
And what do you use these drills for?
For drilling into wood.
Thank you so much.
And in Cub Scouts.
All right. Well, Josh and Jenny, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Josh wanted to tell this story. He's a very brave little boy to get on television tonight. We thank you both, and thank you so much for sharing your story. It will be coming up later in the program. Jana, back to you.
We got a couple thank yous to send out right now. Rosie Sneers from Charleston. Terry Widener, a longtime friend of WEIU. Terry comes around every once in a while and always has to tell us a joke and make us laugh. He's an awesome person. I'd like to also thank Nancy and Henry Tate from Charleston as well. We really appreciate you calling in tonight. We still want to get to that 25 number. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet, but we're going to get there because we know WEIU viewers have passion. We know you're going to support us tonight. We know you're going to support your friends and your family and your colleagues from Charleston.
We really appreciate you calling tonight. Right now, we need you to call. It's so important to call tonight.
Yeah, how many phone calls have we had? Do we know
had a
yet?
total of 7. And
7? And we're looking for
10?
25 tonight, right
25.
now. 25 callers. Give us a call right now. We know that cell phone's sitting right next to you, so you don't even have to get up out of your chair. Just take a little drink of whatever you have there, a little snack, a little bite, and then dial that phone number and give us a call.
You know what's great about a program like this? A lot of people have relatives that maybe don't live around here anymore, or maybe your grandma would love a copy of this. This would be a great opportunity to support your PBS station, support WEIU, and give that away to someone.
Without your support, we cannot offer programs such as this that are so local, so important in preserving the history of Charleston. You will get a special copy without any breaks. It's a clean version. This is your only opportunity through WEIU to get that copy of your program tonight, and you see it right there on your screen. For $75, you can spend that in no time at all through the month, and you can get something very important tonight for that amount of money.
You know, when we were doing all the stories, we've collected over 100 hours of interviews with our storytellers. So this isn't something that we just did in an afternoon and we put it together and threw it together. A lot of work went into making a program like this. It's quality, it's history, it's all about Charleston, and we hope that you find value in that as well.
And we have heard that from a number of people talking and sharing about this program, and the only way we're going to know it from you is if you call right now. The number's at the bottom of your screen. You can go online as well at weiu.net, but we need to hear from you, and we want to hear your thoughts about the program, and if you've been affiliated with any of these people and the storytellers, because we love to hear that too.
There's so many stories out there. Even tonight in our studio with all of our storytellers, they're interacting with each other. Oh, here's a couple more thank yous. You want to do that one?
Don and Judy Boer.
I believe that is. Obro Antiques here in Charleston. Terry and Ann Bacon, thank you so much. And Libby Murray, thank you,
Yes,
Libby.
thank you so much. This is great. We love this type of support. I tell you what, when you call and you get us jazzed up in here, we cannot contain our excitement. You just really help us all celebrate. This studio is full of people tonight. We are live on TV from WEIU in Charleston, Illinois, and it's because of you and because of your support that we're able to do this.
That's right, Ken. Right now, we're up to 11 calls. I got 11 cards in my hand. We've got 2 more people on the phone, so that's 13. We want to get to that goal of 25. We can't do it without you. So right now, get on the phone, give us a call. You're not missing 1 minute of the program.
Absolutely
There
not.
we go.
We have some great stories to share with you that we'll be coming up soon with, but you know what? We're going to be here intermittently throughout the evening, but right now you got the chance to call, talk to one of the storytellers. You can talk to Mr. Inyart if you want to and say thank you so much for sharing that. I did get a pair of shoes there too.
We know there's a lot of people out there that are going to relate with this story, and what's really cool about this program, as you watch it tonight, there's a lot of programs, a lot of the stories are interweaved with one another. You might hear one about Old Main, but then you'll hear one about a church had the same architect as Old Main. So many wonderful stories. We are so rich in history here in Charleston.
Yes, we are, and we have 42 stories to share with you this evening once again. We have been working on this since May with all of the folks in the studio and with people out in the community, and when you're calling and making those phones ring tonight, you are telling them thank you so very much for all of your hard work.
We want to give a shout out to
Elwin Bryden
from Charleston and James Conwell. We're up to 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We're up to 19 right now.
Yeah. A few more. We need 6 more calls coming in. We'll make that goal of 25, and then we'll get back to the show in just a minute.
So we got 16. Who's going to be 17? Who's going to be 18?
Who's going to be 19? Who's going to be 20? I'll tell you what, we're rocking and rolling in here. We're excited. I cannot hardly contain myself.
You know what's so great? When people call, you're telling us that programs like Charleston, This Is Our Story, they're important to you. Is your hometown important?
It's important to us. That's why we're doing this. We believe in our community. We believe in our viewers. And it's not just from Charleston. We are sharing this show with the world tonight. You can watch either on TV or via online at weiu.net. And if you do have family and friends watching in other places outside of the viewing area, tell them to get online and to watch this special program tonight.
I have a sister who's in Florida, in Tampa. She's watching tonight, so hi, Lori.
I have a cousin in Denver, Colorado, and he's watching tonight, and I think we have a friend of one of our storytellers in Michigan watching tonight as well.
Isn't that exciting?
It is exciting. I'll tell you what, it's more exciting when these phones are ringing. We've got almost all of them busy right now, and our goal is to keep them busy.
Lindsay needs somebody to give her a call. She's right behind me. Give Lindsay a call. There you go. Thank you for
I'll
that.
tell you what, Jeff Beauchard over here, he's pretending to be Elvis in the house tonight, and he would love to talk to you and tell you thank you very much.
And you just wait for his story coming up. It's amazing. Okay, we've got Dennis and Nancy Grant from Charleston. Thank you so much. Julie Strands from Charleston. Thank you, Julie. Karen Dowdy from Charleston.
Yes.
That's
amazing support. Thank you so much for becoming a member of WEIU.
Looks like we're at 23 right now.
2 more to go. Who's going to be number 1 and 2 here? Let's get those phones ringing.
You want a different phone? We'll see what we can do here in a second. Are you sure it's
give
working?
Jeff a call. Jeff's phone is silent, and he's a wonderful person to talk to. I want you to give Jeff a phone call right now. And Mr. Inyart, he has a phone that's open right now too. That could get us to our 25 goal.
We got to get to the 25 before we get back to the program. We are not missing 1 second of the program.
Absolutely not. We're going to be giving you, there he is right there, Jeff. He wants to talk to you. He wants to share that moment with you. So we're going to be getting back to the show in about 2 minutes. Help us meet our goal. We have 2 more calls that we need.
2 more calls we need. We'd like to thank Kathy Bradford from Charleston. Lots of Charleston people. Imagine that.
Well,
they want to preserve the history in their town, and they're willing to call and support the programming at WEIU.
The copy of the program you have tonight is something that you can share with your family. You can have a viewing party later. You can support WEIU and Charleston right now. This is your moment. This is your time. Charleston, we want to continue sharing this with you.
We are so excited to be here tonight. The studio is full of storytellers. It's full of people in the community. We're having just a big party here.
We are. Whoop, whoop. Raise the roof tonight.
Wouldn't it be great? One more minute before we go back to the program. Let's get that 25th caller. We do not want to go back until we have the 25th one.
We know you want to get back to the show. We know you want to hear those stories. Right now, we still have some phone calls coming through. We'll give you a shout out here very shortly. I think we're meeting our goal right now with the 25. We want to thank you for that, and we're going to be getting back to the show momentarily.
We are so glad that you're calling in tonight. It means a lot as a PBS station to know that community matters to you. For WEIU, we need people like you to call, because without your support, WEIU wouldn't be on the air.
That's right, it wouldn't be. And I'll tell you what, we're spreading outside of Charleston tonight from Lincoln, Illinois. We have Teresa. Thank you so much, Teresa.
And Karen Reynolds. And I wonder if it's Karen or Sharon. It's Sharon.
It's Sharon, one of our storytellers.
Sharon's
You'll be hearing that story later too.
Her story is amazing. It's coming up in the next couple breaks. Amazing story. It's going to make you cry. I know it is.
We touch all emotions tonight. The storytellers, they'll make you laugh, they'll make you cry, they'll make you think of things from years gone by, and they'll make you appreciate things that are happening today. So stay tuned for more stories. Charleston, this is our story.